Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Today let me show you 3 ways to center a window on your Mac. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now let's say you wanted to center a window on your Mac, like bring this one right to the middle. It's almost impossible to get it perfectly in the middle by just dragging it. So it'd be nice to have a simple way to automatically center it. Let me show you 3 different ways to do this, all of which have advantages and disadvantages. So first, it'd be great if there was a way to do it without installing any third-party applications or doing any kind of scripting, shortcuts, automation, or anything like that. You can do this using standard Windows movement commands on your Mac. Now you can combine 2 Windows movement tricks to center a window. First, you have to get the window to fill the entire screen. Now I'm not talking about using the green button or going to full screen in any way. I'm talking about having this window actually enlarged to fill the whole screen. You can do that by double clicking with the Option key held down on any corner. The double click will make it snap to the corner, and holding the Option key down will do the same for the opposite corner. So just pick your favorite corner, like the bottom left here, Option, double click on it, and now this window fills the whole screen. You may think that, well, I could do the same thing with double clicking on the title bar like that. That will work in some windows but not others because technically that only expands the window to the size needed for the content. So in some cases, like in Safari, that's not going to work. But Option double clicking on a corner will always expand the window to the maximum size. Now with any corner you can use Option and drag, and it will drag all corners at the same time. Now you've got a perfectly centered window and you can make it any size that you want. Just drag to the size you want and stop. It seems like a lot of steps, but it's really not. Here's me doing it really quickly. Option double click, Option drag, and I'm done. I've got a window centered. The disadvantages to this are it takes a couple steps and you don't really get the window back to the exact size you had it before. Now let's do this using scripting in the new Shortcuts app. And there are actually 2 methods to do it, both of which have issues. The first is to use the command move window. And when you add that, and you can see I've added that right here, the default is move windows to center. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to do. But how do you get the window to move? Unfortunately, Shortcuts doesn't have a good answer to that. There is the find windows where, and you could see it right here. And this will search for available windows. But it is super slow. Now I don't really have very much going on here in this demo, but if you had a couple of full screen apps like maybe Safari and Mail, it could take more than a minute to actually find the current window. And it can't actually even find the current window because all of the filters here have to do with things like title, app name, and all of that. There's no way to tell it, just find me the frontmost window from the current app. It's just not available here. So I had to write this piece of JavaScript that basically gets the title of the current window of the current app. Then it feeds that in here and you filter title is and that result. So it's going to basically find the window that has the same title as this one here. And then it will center that window. Now I've set this up to pin in menu bar so it'll appear here. So let me go to my text edit window here and use this. And you can see it works. But trust me, if you had a few more apps open, this would be too slow to be usable. Now a few years ago I showed you how to actually do this using Automator. And you could take that same script and use it here in Shortcuts. So here's the actual same script. It's exactly the same script here that uses JavaScript to get the frontmost window from the frontmost app. Then it figures out the size of your desktop by looking at the Finder, and then it will put the window in the middle, keeping the same size. So this is all in JavaScript. It doesn't have the same problem that the previous shortcut did of taking a long time to figure out the current window. So it works rather quickly. One issue here is when you run it, you can see it doesn't quite work. What did it do there? Why did it put it there? That is actually the center of my desktop. If I show you System Preferences Displays, you can see here's the window that you see. I actually have a second screen here. So actually putting it right there, that's actually the center of my desktop. So this doesn't really work very well if you've got multiple displays, but it works perfectly if you have a single display. You could remedy this by actually using hard-coded numbers here. So I could do 1280, 720, and I could just have zeros for the left and top. And then I don't even need this anymore. And now when I want to center a window like this, I can run the script and it works fast and accurately. So if you have multiple windows and this is the kind of script you want, and put the width and height of your main monitor in there. But if you have just a single screen, then doing this will always work and you don't have to enter in the numbers. So as you can see, there are a lot of disadvantages using shortcuts. The first shortcut will take too long to run. Maybe Apple can fix that in the future by giving us a quick way to get the frontmost window of the frontmost app. The other shortcut works great for a single screen, but you have to customize it for multiple screens, and it requires a little bit of coding, which not everybody is comfortable with. Now you can also just get a third-party app to do this. There are a ton of these in the App Store. If you search for window managers, you can download one of these. They all cost a little bit, but they have a lot of advanced functionality besides just centering the window. You could also find some outside of the App Store, and sometimes they're free. A really popular one right now is Rectangle, which has a free and a paid Pro version. And you can get it here, and the free version will allow you to center a window. So I'm going to launch it here, and I've got it now in the menu bar, and I can see one of the commands here is for center. The keyboard shortcut is Option Command C, so I can just use Option Command C and it will center the current window. The disadvantage of this method is you need to add yet another third-party app to your system in order to do it. But if it's something you really require and maybe you want some of this other functionality as well, then it might be worth it. So there are three methods you can use to center a window. Each has advantages and disadvantages, but each could also be used to do more than just centering a window. For instance, those window movement techniques I showed you at first could be used to do other things to position windows around. The shortcuts can be used to position the windows in other ways, to specific spots on the screen for instance. And the third-party apps have a lot more features than just the ability to center windows. You can use them to position windows and save presets and all sorts of things. So I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.